Hello, everybody. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is the Black Eyed Children interview. Before we get into it, just want to mention a couple things. Playlists. If you're interested in certain types of categories of my experiences, playlists are a great thing to check out. There's Space and Aliens, Time Travel, Q&A, Astral Guide School, and Interview with Non-Humans. And there's also an Astral Club which just has all of the videos of the episodes in order. So check it out. Next up, Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, that'd be great. When you do, you get advanced podcasts, you get chats, direct mail. We answer questions and chat back and forth. It's a lot of fun. And if you're interested, there is a link in the description. And lastly, private astral projection lesson. If you'd like a lesson to learn how to astral project, be glad to work with you. Just go to the description and send me an email for more information. Okay, let's talk about black-eyed children or black-eyed kids or BEKs. Many of us have heard of them before. Stories circulating around the internet, reports from anxious people who claim to have had unsettling encounters with children who appeared ordinary at first, but then revealed pitch black, soulless eyes. Their demand for entry into homes or vehicles is always accompanied by an unnerving, almost hypnotic sense of dread. The details, though varied, are always disturbing. I know I've spent many a night reading these reports. That's the only time I ever do it, late at night. I don't know. It has the right environment, you know. Anyway, thankfully, my doorbell has never rung late at night, or I'd probably have jumped out of my skin. For this interview, I decided to seek out these strange entities to discover their origin and the reason for haunting our doorsteps. I concentrated on willing myself to where I could find black-eyed children. I blacked out. I regained consciousness with a start as I realized two sets of children's legs hovered over me. Frightened, I pushed myself away a few feet and stood up in my astral body. Regaining my equilibrium, I addressed a boy approximately age 10 and a girl age 12. I said, how's it going? I felt like an idiot immediately. My daughter, when she hears this, she's going to laugh because she knows whenever I'm tense or nervous and I meet somebody new, that greeting just comes out of my mouth. There's nothing I can seem to do about it. Just happens. Anyway, I got zero response from the two children. Just a constant stare that seemed to probe my soul with icy tendrils. I found myself in a woodland clearing with no one else around but myself and these two odd kids. Despite the area appearing in the grip of winter, the children were dressed in play clothes that would have been better suited for a summer's day. The boy wore a nondescript dried blood red shirt with jeans and sneakers. The girl was dressed in a pink polka-dotted sundress that looked like it came straight out of the 1960s. I'd like to interview you kids, if that's all right, I said, breaking the silence. I've read about the phenomena of black-eyed children for years. Can you tell me about yourselves? A long moment passed as the kids peered into me. I felt like a bug under some scientist's microscope. I was on the edge of scrapping the whole idea and just getting the hell out of there when the boy spoke up. I can tell you a great many things. He began, his voice low, almost detached. In my studies over the years, I've heard all the theories. Some say the BEKs are interdimensional beings. Others argue they're extraterrestrial. Some believe they're demons or even manifestations of a deep-seated psychological fear. The problem was all of these explanations were just human speculation. We have nothing from the BEKs directly about their origin or purpose. The boy leaned forward slightly. We are something much older than you realize. Something that predates your human understanding. We have visited humans for a very, very long time. Your race has reports of us where people talk about seeing us with eyes that are completely black. But there's more to it than that. We just don't unsettle humans. We radiate an unnatural sense of discomfort. Humans feel a coldness, a paralyzing dread when they encounter us. Well, that's consistent with most reports I've read, I said. But what does it mean? What are you trying to do? Why approach people in such a way? The boy and the girl stared at me for a long moment, their expressions unreadable. Finally, the eerie boy spoke again, his tone flat. We're not just trying to get into your houses. We need to get in. We don't just want access to your homes or your cars. We need access to you, your attention, your mind. We feed off your fear and confusion. We don't just want to frighten you. We want you to comply. We want you to be controlled. Controlled? How? I asked, my curiosity piqued. Our eyes, the boy said, his voice dropping to a whisper, as if the subject itself demanded secrecy. Our eyes are not merely a physical trait. We have the ability to influence your minds. All we need is for you to invite us in. At his last pronouncement, the boy took one step towards me. I reflexively took a larger one back. I've read numerous examples of witnesses who reported that at some point during their encounter, they felt hypnotized, unable to resist the urge to let these children into their space. The victim felt powerless to resist them even when every instinct told them not to. But true to the eerie boy's words, they would never cross the threshold of your car or home without your consent. Isn't it interesting that there's legends about that? For instance, many of the legends of vampires, those who suck the life from the living, require an invitation in order to enter the household, a private residence. I find that interesting. Anyway, luckily, though, many have found the strength to ignore this siren call and slam their doors closed. I suppose those are the ones who we read about, right? The ones that close the doors. I don't know what happened to those who didn't. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. Until the boy had moved forward, I hadn't noticed that I was inching towards him and his companion. With his move towards me, however, I snapped out of my stupor back to full consciousness. The very thought of someone, especially a child, being able to manipulate my mind was terrifying. Would you like to know our origin? Asked the boy, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. Yes, I would, I replied. We do not originate on Earth. We appear at times when certain energies or disturbances occur in the atmosphere, unusual electromagnetic fields, heightened solar activity, even some geological events. Whenever there's some kind of opening, a gateway that we can slip through and we can hunt humans. Started to make some sense to me. So you use these openings as portals of sorts? Exactly. And it's not a one-way street. We don't just arrive on our own. We're summoned. We can sense your fear, and we're drawn to places of emotional turmoil. You would call us predators. We carefully select targets that are isolated, vulnerable, and confused. Can you tell me more about the place you come from? I ask. Our home is not as interesting as your Earth. You would call it an alternate dimension. It is wonderfully dark always. There is prey and ourselves only, said the strange BEK. Sounds like a wonderful home. Why come to Earth? I inquired. The boy hesitated for a moment that seemed like an eternity. Our food supply has dwindled through overuse. We have found humans of your dimension to be adequate. Sometimes we'll take a good candidate human back to our home plane, where they will feed us for a long time. The boy said, as if kidnapping and parasitism was the most common custom. Do you just hunt humans when they're at home alone? I ask. Invariably, every report of the BEKs is from a solo witness. The boy smiled and looked around. No, we also hunt in your national parks. Solo hikers are easy prey. They're always willing to help two lost children. We take many back with us to our home. I felt stunned by the weight of his words. Hundreds of hikers went missing each year from U.S. national parks, never to be found. To think many of these are ending in some hellish plain made me worry for my daughter and her husband, who love to explore our national parks. Well, at least they go together, not alone. I'm going to have to warn them. The boy's eyes seemed to peer through me now. I felt naked and exposed. I felt a subtle pressure that had been growing without my notice. I had this strong feeling that I should trust this boy, that he just needed some fatherly guidance to become good. Suddenly, the face of my angel came to me. I broke free from the bonds that had started to encapsulate me. Both the boy and the girl smiled grimly at me as I severed the invisible tethers around me. There's one more thing I'll leave you with, the boy said quietly. It's not just our black eyes that make us challenging for humans. It's the way we look at you. We're searching for something, some part of you that we can latch onto, a weakness. And once we find it, we never let go. I felt a chill creep over me. For the life of me, I couldn't think of another question. I sensed they were interfering with my mental clarity as well. We must go now, the girl said, finally speaking up. Her voice had sweet surface tones to it, but despite that, it rung hollow like an unoccupied grave. But now that we have met, we will wait for another occasion. This time, however, it will be a time and a place of our choosing. With that final terrifying pronouncement, the children as one turned away from me and walked into the forest. As I watched them, their forms gradually faded away among the trees. I don't know about y'all, but my doors will be locked at night, and they won't be opened until the sun decides to rise the next day. I suggest you do the same. Well, that was a frightening interview for me. This is something that I've been following for a long time, years now, about these whole BEKs, and I was as mystified as everybody else. So finally I thought, you know what, let's see if I can locate these creatures and try to figure out what the heck's going on. Anyway, if you like that, please hit the like button and share it with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. I definitely want to hear your comments. Have you ever had a BEK encounter? Love to hear about that. Any other questions you have certainly are welcome, and everybody likes to see that stuff. So once again, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.